Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The enemy young and restless Victor should really be worried about isn't Jack, Billy, or Dumas. The young and the restless has fallen into a terrible pattern over the last few years of introducing one male antagonist, Dumas, after another, Tucker, after another, Ashland, to take on the great and powerful Victor Newman. Why is the pattern so terrible? 1. We've been trained to know that Victor will never lose.
Can't.
So, these stories aren't suspenseful at all. 2. Even if one of these guys did get the best of Victor, it wouldn't resonate. What the big man needs is to be taken down by a bigger woman. As it is, both young and restless and sister Soap Bold and Beautiful are suffering from female troubles, while the latter turns almost every woman into a character whose sole purpose is the getting of a man, Daphne, Brooke, or the keeping of a man, Taylor. The former keeps telling us that its leading ladies are strong and independent, and then having them accept jobs from their significant others, Sally, Chelsea, Nikki. Even worse is what the show has done to Audra. Historically, Young and Restless has also gotten Victor into the appalling habit of weaponizing women like they were guns to be aimed at those that he dislikes. Remember when he gave unstable Patty Williams plastic surgery and turned her loose on Jack? Or when Victor allowed Jack to be kidnapped by the also unstable Kelly Andrews while he dropped a look-alike drug lord in Phyllis's bed? Unacceptable. But Young and Restless could start to move in the right direction by introducing a female tycoon who not only targets Victor's empire but actually manages to take it from him. For decades, he's bragged that he's a self-made man, that he came up from nothing to become a titan of industry. Well, let's see him put his money where his mouth is. If he did it once, shouldn't he be able to do it again? Review Victor's life in photos. This time, of course, Victor would be trying to rebuild rather than build, and with a new obstacle in his way. The woman who put him down and intends to keep him there. How satisfying would it be to see Victor toyed with the same merciless way that he so often has Jack and Billy, and even his own children. Plus, had writer Josh Griffith loves making up new old characters, and he could do so again here. Let the woman in question be a former lover of Victor's. We'll call her Joyce Del Monte. She stood by him as he began climbing the corporate ladder, only to have him dump her for first wife Julia Newman when he decided he needed someone classier by his side. But Joyce was no dummy. She paid attention to Victor's moving and shaking, and left to her own devices. She did some of her own. Now she's back to do what her ex taught her, to take, no matter who it hurts, and then shrug off the misbehavior as simply business. Imagine the fun it would be to cast Joyce too. A who's who of soap greats could fit the bill, from Days of Our Lives underused Lee Ann Hunley, Anna, to One Life to Lev's Erica Slezak, Vicky, to Guiding Light vet Maeve Kincaid, Vanessa. Victor Newman has faced off against the best of them. Jack Abbott, the perennial thorn in his side. Billy Abbott, reckless and unpredictable. And now, Aristotle Dumas, the sleek new player stirring the pot in Genoa City. But if the Young and the Restless has taught us anything over the decades, it's that the real threat is rarely the loudest, most obvious contender. Sometimes, the enemy is quiet, strategic, operating in the margins while the big players posture and strike. And if Victor Newman isn't careful, he's going to be blindsided. Not by the people he sees coming, but by the one flying entirely under his radar. And that person? Clare Grace. Yes, you read that right. It's not Jack.
Not Billy.
Not even the enigmatic Aristotle Dumas with his hidden agendas and law firm tentacles. The true danger to Victor's empire, and perhaps to the Newman family's entire legacy, is Clare, the quiet survivor with a storm brewing inside her. Let's explore why Clare poses a threat unlike any Victor has ever faced and why, by the time he sees it, it may be far too late. Victor Newman, king of the chessboard. For decades, Victor has operated like a grandmaster. Calculated.
Cold.
Ruthless when necessary. He's played and beaten the likes of Adam, Victoria, Nikki, Jack, Ashley, even the feds. His power has always hinged on his ability to see 10 moves ahead, to anticipate threats before they materialize. But lately, Victor's focus has narrowed. He's obsessed with Dumas, rightly suspicious that the man's interest in Newman Enterprises is more than just legal. He's spent energy circling Jack and Billy as if they're still playing the same game from 20 years ago. He's even trying to puppet his children, steering Nick, Adam, and Victoria like chess pieces. In the meantime, Clare Grace has re-entered the Newman sphere, emotionally fragile, seemingly unambitious, and asking for very little. A perfect mask. Who is Clare Grace? When Claire first entered the scene, she was a pawn in Aunt Jordan's twisted vendetta. The girl who was led to believe she was abandoned. Raised in secrecy. Weaponized. She was used to destabilize Victoria and manipulate Nikki. But here's what everyone's missing. Claire survived all that. Not just physically, psychologically. Where others would have collapsed under trauma, Claire adapted. Now living under the Newman name, Claire is being welcomed as a lost daughter, even as whispers about her past still linger. The Newmans, especially Victoria, are eager to redeem her, rewrite her story, and fold her into the family fold. But redemption and reinvention are not the same thing. And Claire's trauma isn't gone. It's just been transformed into something more dangerous. Quiet, intelligent resolve. The power of patience. Unlike Billy or Jack, both prone to emotional outbursts, Claire is calculated. She listens. She watches. She plays the long game. It's the very trait Victor has long prided himself on, and why he might not see her as a threat. Claire isn't trying to blow up the family business overnight. She's not storming into boardrooms. She's planting roots. She's building trust with Victoria. She's nurturing a bond with Johnny and Katie. She's sitting at Nikki's side, as a helper, a caretaker, a second chance. And yet, there's an undercurrent. A look in Claire's eyes when no one's watching. A sharpness to her memory. A few chilling callbacks to her time with Jordan, not in admiration, but in understanding. She understands how to weaponize loyalty, how to manipulate perception. And she's doing it without even seeming like she's trying. That's the kind of enemy Victor never anticipates, and never survives unscathed. The long game. Infiltration over invasion. Victor has spent decades fortifying the walls of Newman Enterprises and the family itself. He knows how to deflect external attacks. What he doesn't expect, what he never prepares for, is someone eroding the walls from the inside. Let's map the moves Claire could be making right now. Emotional investment. She's becoming indispensable to Victoria, who is clearly wrestling with guilt. Claire isn't asking for power. She's asking for acceptance, which is far more dangerous. It lowers defenses. Rewriting the narrative, the public knows she was manipulated. The more time passes, the more that story becomes truth. She's recasting herself not just as a victim, but as a survivor the Newmans can take credit for rescuing. Strategic dependence. By leaning into her relationship with Nikki, she's becoming essential. Nikki needs her sobriety stable, and Claire's presence is slowly becoming part of that equation. All of this lays the groundwork for a shift that could come quietly, powerfully, and with zero resistance, until it's too late. Claire's endgame. What does she want? Right now, Claire doesn't want a company. She wants control. Not over Victor. Not even over the business. But over her identity. After a life of being manipulated, hidden, used, Claire wants autonomy. And autonomy in the Newman world requires power. It doesn't take a boardroom coup to seize that. It takes family leverage. And if Claire plays her cards right, she becomes Victoria's closest confidant. She earns Nikki's trust and Victor's attention. She positions herself as the emotional epicenter of the Newmans' narrative redemption arc. From there, anything is possible. She could manipulate family decisions. She could influence succession plans. She could destabilize Adam, Nick, and even Victor by making them question the version of themselves they believe in. Why Victor won't see it coming. Victor's Achilles' heel has always been ego. He underestimates those who seem weak. Women who don't posture. People who aren't gunning for his throne in obvious ways. Jack Abbott? He sees coming. Dumas? He's already suspicious. But Claire? She's just a girl trying to heal. He sees her as someone his empire rescued, not someone with agency. That's the fatal flaw. Because Claire is building a narrative where she is the one saving the Newmans by being their redemption story, their proof that even darkness can be reclaimed. It's subtle, but it's powerful. And by the time Victor realizes she's not just the family's weakest link, she's the one pulling the strings, it may be too late. What happens if Claire turns? Let's paint the worst-case scenario. Claire earns Victoria's full trust. Claire is offered a symbolic role in the company, perhaps PR or family affairs. Claire learns something from Victor's files, a secret from her past, maybe involving Jordan, that proves the Newmans knew more than they let on. That's the trigger. Claire doesn't lash out. She simply recalibrates. She leaks a story. She exposes a lie. She erodes Victor's public image, slowly, methodically. And just like that, the world sees not a titan, but a man who let his ego blind him to the enemy sleeping in the next room. But what if she doesn't turn? Of course, it's possible Claire truly wants peace. That her every move is genuine. That she's not the enemy, but the healing force. Even so, that still makes her dangerous, because peace doesn't fit in Victor's world. A Claire who preaches unity threatens the power dynamics the Newmans thrive on. She disrupts Adam's paranoia, Nick's loyalty, Victoria's ambition, Nikki's vulnerability. Even without malice, Claire is a force that could dismantle the internal architecture Victor has spent his life building, all under the banner of love. And in Victor's world, that's just as dangerous. Victor versus Claire, a war of worlds. The battle lines won't be drawn with slaps, schemes, or boardroom brawls. This will be a psychological chess match. Victor will test her. Claire will smile. Victor will push her. Claire will adapt. She's not playing the game, he understands. She's rewriting it. And if Victor isn't careful, he'll be the one sitting in a chair, wondering how the girl who needed him ended up running the show. Final thought. The real power shift. The Young and the Restless isn't just about billion-dollar businesses and secret siblings. It's about evolution, the torch being passed, sometimes willingly, often by force. Claire Grace represents a new generation of power, one that doesn't demand control, but earns it through emotional resonance. She's not here to destroy. She's here to outlive. And Victor? He's still playing by the old rules. So, while the world watches Victor stalk Jack and spar with Dumas, the real enemy is already in the house. Not with a plan to burn it down, but to quietly become the foundation. Victor Newman may be the king. But Claire? She might just be the queen. Would you like me to follow this with a companion piece titled Claire's Rise, From Pawn to Power Player, or Genoa City's Silent Revolution, How Women Are Quietly Taking Over the Game?